pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it's Tuesday, April 28th. Our meeting is open to the public online, and questions can be called in at the end under public comments. Okay, any changes to the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
And with no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's approved. And how about your minutes? Did you see any concerns there? I did not.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and with no further discussion on that, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that, the minutes are approved. County Attorney, I know Mark is on the line. Do you have anything for us today, Mark?
The only thing I have is that child support recovery document that I've signed, and I'll get that over to you for Barb's signature.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Okay. Do you need me to stop over or something later?
Yeah, you can stop over and sign it. That'd be fine.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, nothing else? Do you guys have any questions for him offhand?
I have nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thanks. Okay, we'll have to get Tony in here. Would you want to grab him, Pat? Would you mind? We could go ahead and look at that Sunny Brae golf course.
Well,
Either
we
way.
got the county engineer,
Oh, I
Mark.
skipped right by him, didn't I? Okay. Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry, I skipped right over you.
That's okay, I'm easy to forget.
No, you're not.
Not a whole lot for today. Our rock quote should be coming in Friday, so we can maybe evaluate that on Tuesday next week. For getting that going. And then also next week I should have, our project was let there for that mile from Balsam to the county line on 390th. That bid came in and it looked pretty favorable, so I'll bring that to you guys next week for approval, for review. And then also just an update on, we have a bridge down on the southeast corner of 320th Street, just west of Balsam, that's being replaced. The bridge is out, and one cell of the three has been placed already, so that project's moving along pretty well. So, other than that, we're doing our basic maintenance and blading, and then when the rock run starts, we'll be busy doing that. Just don't forget that next week the guys will be on 10-hour days. That's all I've got for you this morning. I'll stick around if you get questions.
Thank you, Rich.
Yep, thank you, Rich.
Okay. Approve the commercial constructive incentive program request. Tony, you want to kind of update us on that?
Sure. The board, we were discussing how we wanted to move forward with that last night when we lost power. And we lost a couple of our board members in the power outage. So they elected at that point to table the application of Tim Schultz for further discussion. Barb and I had talked about the plan, and Stan, you had talked about wanting to do some other small business assistance possible, and with no new TIF, we figured the only funds that might be available would be some of the housing, so wanted to have a full discussion going forward of whether we wanted to do any changes to the program, and so with that in mind, they just wanted to table the current application, so they didn't disapprove it, but they didn't approve it yet either. Part of it was because of losing power as well, so we'll just have to table that one for this meeting.
Okay, since it kind of has to do with you, I think I'll slip it in here. I was going to wait till public comments, but I did have a text from somebody asking again, concern about property owners being put into urban development, and I explained to them, even though we discussed it last week, that every single person is actually going to be called by Tony to see if they want in that or not. So they will be giving their permission. But again, I want to reiterate that everything that we've checked into, there is just no negatives to having your property on that. As a matter of fact, at one time, they talked about putting the whole towns in. See, and in the past, and I'm sure this is from many years ago, that there's still that stigmatism that they consider it blight areas, and that isn't the case at all now. They aren't thinking of it in that kind of terms at all, and it doesn't affect your taxes or selling or anything.
And just to clarify, I'm not gonna be calling everybody in the county. I'm only counting those people that was suggested
Yes.
by some of the real estate professionals in town that might be good candidates.
And so people are welcome to call in if they
Right.
want to get on that.
And if you don't hear from me and you still want to be in, I would still encourage people to contact us and let us know.
Yes.
And we have had a few over the past few days that have called in and requested, so.
Sure. Yeah, well, it only can have benefits. It's either gonna do nothing or it's gonna have a benefit,
Right.
so. Okay,
Barb,
yes.
Barb,
Yeah.
Mark Watt.
Yes, Mark.
If there is a disadvantage, I mean, if we're missing something, if there is a disadvantage, a factual just a disadvantage, not just a perception, I would like to know, because it's entirely possible that we're wrong and we're missing something. I don't
Yeah.
think we are, but if there is a disadvantage, a factual disadvantage, somebody please contact either the board or me and let us know what that disadvantage is. Other than just, like I said, I compared it to the people who don't like to have their kids vaccinated. It's because they listen to rumors and innuendos. But if there is a factual reason that it's bad to be in an urban renewal zone, please let the board or me know. And that's all I have to say.
Yes, I totally agree with that, because I mean, everybody I've checked with, I can't find anything negative, but maybe I haven't checked with the right people. Okay.
I see Kevin Colbett's on this call. And Kevin, if you'd want to comment, if you're, you deal with more real estate than any of us, if there is a negative, we'd sure like to hear about it.
I don't know if Kevin's on today. Okay, well, let's move on then.
Well, no, let's hold on a second.
Sure, go ahead.
How much money is left in the commercial industrial program?
We are into the final year's worth, so it's under $1 million now. But yes,
Well, if we have $1 million, just under $1 million, and basically, again, right now, we don't have any perceived need to assist. I mean, nobody's, and we're in the building. Right now, we're in the building season.
correct.
I don't know that you guys can really wait another month, expecting a contractor to wait another month when, and I realize maybe you should have a special meeting here in the next week and that to either.
We actually discussed that, Stan, and Tony was gonna call and talk with Mr. Schultz to make sure that wasn't gonna be a bad situation by waiting a month. So he's gonna check with him, right?
Yes,
Am I right?
the only issue was the fact that we had the opportunity or the situation to reevaluate what the need was, since things had come up with the COVID-19, that it was a good opportunity to talk about it. We were having a good discussion about it last night, about going forward, and that's, like I said, that's when the power went out and we lost a number of our board members. We still had a quorum, but we were not able to finish the conversation going forward. Again, it was just an opportunity to evaluate where we're at and if there was any tweaks to the system that needed to be made. We talked extensively about the system. It was meant to incentivize spec houses, correct? That was the desire. part of the problem we have encountered is it appears that a number of the houses are being built not as spec, but as custom homes being built by the builder. One of the things that we discussed as a possibility is, I likened it to a story of having a retail store. When you put something on the market, you don't put it on a clearance rack the first day you show it in your store. If, as far as the spec incentive, if we were to say it needed to be on the market for a certain period of time before you would qualify for an incentive, basically putting something on sale to help it move off of the market. That way we can have a little more assurance that the house being built is a spec home. We had quite a bit of discussion on what that length of time should be if we did it. And then there was a lot of talk about the fact that it is working. We are getting homes built. We are getting new tax base built. So again, we were having a really good conversation last night and had not reached a conclusion when we lost a good chunk of our board due to the power outage. So we were moving along. We just kind of got stopped.
Well, and Jennifer Andrea, I see that she had a comment that she basically has brought 39 people up here to Mitchell County, I believe it was. Yeah. And none of them have left or anything. And again, just knowing at St. Ansgar, I mean, you know, to find places for people to even rent, I mean,
right. I had a good conversation with Tim Schultz about the rentals, and he was commenting to me that he was really surprised. He said even the last award that we'd had for him, he's just started building. He's already been contacted and basically had commitments already on the rental properties. He said rentals are moving very, very well. And so we talked about that quite a bit last night as well. I know the demand is definitely there. And I did want to comment too, that because of the incentive program, Tim was able to keep his costs down on building, and he did pass that on in the cost of rent. The rent he is providing, that he's asking for in those apartments, is very low. So that again, that part of our program worked well in helping lower income people have a decent place to live. So that part of the incentive worked very well. So hopefully that will continue long term. But he did pass on the cost savings that he was able to enjoy in the building to his renters. So that was hopefully perceived well.
well, and that's the idea, that we get more housing.
And one of the things we talked about last night was the possibility of putting a cap on the value of the home that would qualify for this program. And so there, I think that was part of the discussion we were in when we lost, was what is a reasonable level to put that cap on the value. I think we talked around 200, 250, somewhere in that range is the top range of what would qualify. And again, since we were in the middle of the discussion, we just didn't feel it was appropriate to move forward with an application that we were in the midst of discussing. We still had a quorum, but
So in other words, if Mr. Schultz would like to be moving forward because of the building season and this and that, you folks would consider
I don't see a problem with that.
holding a special. Okay. Is that?
Okay, we good now? Okay. And we need to approve the Sunnybrae Golf Course liquor license.
Everything's in order.
Yeah,
I'll so move.
Second?
okay, and with no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's taken care of. Approve that. And then the IT position, when Casey will be being deployed mid-May. And do you want to talk about it? Or do you
Sure.
want me to?
Yeah, so I've been talking with Sammy Sharper. Right now she's in the, at Fort Gordon. She graduates tomorrow. She's in the computer field, I guess, 25 series, and she's, barring your approval, accepted to fill in for me, starting, she can actually start on May 4th. Through July 31st, just to cover the summer. she has all the background checks, everything's good, so I think what we could offer her, my suggestion would be $20 an hour with no other benefits, just the salary for the summer. And yeah, like I said, July 31st, Barb, I know you were
Yes,
asking.
and I wondered too, when she could actually start too, the 4th, so
Yep.
that's good, because she's gonna need at least a little training from you.
Yep.
'Cause
So,
your last day's like,
The 12th.
Well-
So I'll be able to work with her for about 6 days, 7 days.
okay,
So what happens come August?
So come August, if you guys can't find anyone between May and August, basically Solutions, we're going to up our our program that we have with them. We'll go to the silver package. So any issues, we have to call them, and then if they need to be on site, they will come on site.
frankly, I want to keep looking for somebody after that. And so, yeah, let's put the word out there right on this, that perhaps even somebody who's retired, because it would be a temporary position.
Sure.
Just from August through May?
Yeah, roughly.
Somewhere
Hopefully, I'm back
By May?
by
maybe?
May
Yeah.
1st. Hopefully. So,
Yeah, so, yeah, the word, get that word out there.
and then the sheriff's office, they're not going to use Solutions. They're going to go with Joel Roney, who's the IT director for Worth County. He did support them prior to me coming, so I've spoken with Joel, and he's agreed to help them out as needed. So, but I guess
So we
as long as
should
you guys
find-
approve,
Get somebody after that.
if you
Because
guys
I think it's
approve.
just better to have somebody right on site. I know
Oh.
when I need you, I need you now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially with it'd be nice to get someone in too to help Lowell's office out with the election in
Elections.
November with all
Yes,
the laptops and
for
everything.
sure.
So
Mhm, you bet. And they run your camera
yep.
once a week. I imagine that's fairly easy to learn.
So like I said, she can start on Monday, barring you guys' approval. So
Yeah, we should go ahead and get that taken care of, since that's coming so fast.
I'll make that
You
motion.
make the motion.
Second?
And are you okay with the $20 an hour also? Add
Yes,
that in there,
to approve,
with no benefits.
since Sammy Sharper with the $20 an hour with no benefits.
Okay, and Stan seconded, so, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we've got that taken care of. Okay,
Barb,
yes,
Barb,
yes,
this is Mark.
yeah,
Since we're hiring her as an independent contractor, we probably just should have a contract so that there's no misunderstanding about benefits. So if somebody can get me, is it Andy Sharper?
Sammy, Samantha?
Sammy?
Is it Samantha?
Samantha.
Yep, Samantha Sharper.
And it's $20 an hour,
Yeah,
okay? If somebody can just get me a brief description of her job responsibilities,
you
Yep.
wanna take care of that,
and I'll
Casey?
I'll draw up a contract that says, okay, this is, you're just an independent agent, you get paid $20 an hour, and it's always good to have one of those. So I'll get that drawn up, and somebody can just give me a short description of her job responsibilities.
Okay, I'll send that to you, Mark.
Thank you, Casey.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, good idea, Mark. Thanks for that input. Okay, we had an audit report from Burcham and, what are they called?
Renner.
And Renner? Okay. I'm just gonna briefly go through what they recommended. It actually looked really good. It should assure people. It's like 61 pages, so obviously I'm not gonna go through all of it. But I'll give you some gist of it. There were no instances of non-compliance or any other matters that required to be reported under the government auditing standards. Let's see, there was an area of, that they even understood that should have a better segregation of duties, but we don't have, we're a small courthouse, we don't have that capacity to have that many people. So, and they were totally understanding about that. credit cards, we do have some credit cards that are used, and that we probably should definitely get an updated policy, and maybe we can work with Renee von Bokern on that to make sure we do that right. There is one, and I'll ask Mark about this later. We have one, well, are you still on, Mark? Okay, I'll send it to him. There's one, a question.
I'm still here, it just takes a while when
Oh, sure, yeah, I don't know if you've seen the audit, but on page 59, I'll just question you about that later, because I'm not quite sure if that's a problem, or if it's a case that we should be asking bids, or what.
Which one was that?
That was with Mark's Tractor and Implement.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I know the whole story, so.
Okay, and they didn't seem to have a problem with it either. I just in my mind wanted to make sure that we were doing everything properly there. Okay.
Of course, they're like everyone else. They like documentation. So if Rich just calls up and talks to somebody and then doesn't say, well, I've got 3 written bids, they say, well, you should have 3 written bids or something like that. Well, we talked to 3 different people. We got the low bid. We're fine.
So maybe we should just document a little more.
Like I told somebody the other day, it's not that I don't trust you, but I don't trust anybody. I want, written proof, not just your word. So if that's what they want is written proof, then.
Okay, we should keep that in mind then.
Well, the reason being is that one of Mark's boys works for county conservation. That's the reason.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch that. That's why I was asking about it. I didn't quite understand it.
If this was secondary roads, I mean, that would be a whole new ballgame, but because, now I can't even think of his name.
Andy.
Andy.
I get mixed up which one's.
Yeah, Andy's out there working, and so that was why there might be a conflict of interest, because.
Gotcha. Well, he's not even with the road department.
No, but secondary road, county conservation
Conservation.
does buy stuff for.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. Well, we're a small community that happens.
Right.
You know,
That happens
we
with
can-
any government.
We can try to avoid it, but yeah, it's the way it is. And let's see, then they said there was no transactions were found that were incorrect with our minutes. No instance of non-compliance with deposits and investments. Where our county properly dedicated property tax revenue to conservation purposes as required. There was something with the county extension. They exceeded their budget at one time, and I think it's just a case of that they should have amended it sooner than what they did. Is that right, basically?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
But does extension really come under us?
They come under our audit,
Under the audit, but I mean, they really don't come under
not under
us.
the board of supervisors, no.
Exactly, so that's kind of
They have their own board.
their baby that they should
Right,
have
I mean, that should
amended.
be noted, it's not our,
Right, correct. And let's see. We had one report that was filed late, and that's just from having a new person getting it all sorted out with Rachel. I wasn't concerned at all about that. So I thought it was a really good report, and it was very detailed, to say the least. So, if there's no more questions about that, I'll move on. Discussion of misinformation. Stan, was this something that you had asked to put on?
yes. Basically, I was looking at Al Winter's announcements for Supervisor in the Press News on the 21st of April. And in part, Al Winter says, quote, "I will work diligently to uphold both the U.S. Constitution and Iowa Constitution within our jurisdiction. In that context, I see an erosion of private property rights because of overutilization of urban renewal and tax increment financing. My plan is to reduce debt as quickly as possible and to stop using TIF as a tool for private development. Once debt is reduced, I will work to release homes, farms, and businesses from the grip of the urban renewal laws. And he goes on, but that's as far as I'm going to quote him. So I contacted Kathy Penny, the city clerk of Osage. I asked what Osage is projected to use in TIF revenues this coming budget year. Mrs. Penny's response is a whopping $1,750,000. Over $1 million of TIF revenue is going to be used by the city of Osage. Basically, including private property into the urban renewal district allows the owners of private property to receive government incentives that otherwise would not be afforded the property owner. There is no known downside to being included in an urban renewal district, which we discussed earlier today. Once again, utilizing TIF for the betterment of Mitchell County is the best thing that happened to Mitchell County. So says every professional that fully understands tax increment financing, including our Northland Security Financial Advisor and the Director of the North Iowa Area Council of Governments. Osage uses TIF to the full extent possible, this coming year over $1 million. So why is Al Winters against Mitchell County using TIF, and yet Al Winters does not say one word, not one word about Osage using over $1 million of TIF to the fullest extent possible? I really demand an answer, Al Winters. Why the double standard? Why you want to keep...
I'd like to get it open as soon as possible. Is that my understanding?
With restrictions, precautions.
Okay.
But, you know, the governor has stated at Friday, some businesses she's going to allow to open up. And I really feel that, again, what I'm taking a look at is we got the 8-county area, the NICOG, North Iowa Area Council of Government area, 127,000 people. And I believe now we have, did we gain one Cronus case in the last day or two?
NICOG area is at 25.
At 25, but at the 13th of April, it was at 23, is that correct? So, I mean, basically in 2 weeks' time, only 2 people in a whole 127,000 people have come down with, and I take a look at all of the businesses that are open. You know, just in Osage here, you got Casey's West that probably employs at least 12 people. You've got Quick Star that probably is 15, 20 people a day. You got the grocery store, I have no idea how many people they employ a day. You got Casey's East, you got the post office, and we can go on and on. I mean, we got 100 and some people here in Osage that every day is dealing with the public, and yet again, we have been maintaining, basically we've been safe. We're doing what we're supposed to do. I mean, we're staying 6 feet apart. Quite a few people now are wearing the mask, and I want to thank Barb for getting us a couple of masks that we can use. And so, again, if some of the other parts of this area are opening up, I really feel that with precautions and so forth, we can start opening up. And I realize that every office here has different issues, and it can be that Lowell's office could open up, maybe Shannon's office, that she continues to keep the door locked until she gets shields and so on. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities we could have, but if we're all wearing masks and that, I mean, they tell us, or I mean, it was on the internet, although you can't always believe everything on the internet, but if 2 people are wearing masks and that, there's only a little more than a 1% chance that you're going to catch something from at least the air, you know.
With these masks, that's false. You have to actually have a medical approved face mask. These masks really don't protect you from much. Unfortunately, just that precaution of keeping it in, okay, I'm safe, but it does not.
Isn't the face shield more or less to keep you from spreading it rather than?
Well, these are just the cloth masks, the fabric masks, the
Masks.
professional ones,
Excuse me.
medical ones are much different, they hold much more in.
Right, but
those standards are better.
But at
than-
least when the person's talking, saliva isn't being
Yeah, correct, yeah,
sprayed in that. I mean,
yeah, that is correct.
Well, I have a few comments. Iowa actually has the highest amount of increase in cases in the last 5 or 6 days of all the states, so that's kind of scary. I do understand that, I mean, the governor could mandate even that we get open right away. I would like to take our time a little bit. Ginger Merrick made a bunch of masks for us and only charges for the supplies, and I'll pass those out today to everybody in the courthouse, since they're washable ones. And then Shannon, I know, made a bunch too, so I'm hoping everybody maybe ends up with 2 apiece, so they have one to clean, you know, that kind of thing. And I did get, well, I haven't gotten it yet, so I guess I'll wait till next week to say where it's from, but we are getting some donated sanitizer, we're supposed to be getting.
Emergency management has it on hand.
And you, right, I did talk with them and they have some still too, although he's been going through it.
We do have an unlimited supply of that though.
Do
We're
you?
able
Oh,
to do
good,
it
good,
anytime.
good. And then my understanding too is if we got desperate for masks too, that you might have something for us too, maybe.
That's, so we get a stockpile and, it's per request. Obviously our outlook are at those nursing homes.
Yes, and we'll try not to
hospitals
ask
and-
for them,
and
like I
those
said, I
things.
arranged some made and Shannon made some, so hopefully we'll be.
Well, in the state, they recommend you just wearing a cloth mask.
And then, Shannon, did you get your shields yet?
No, I checked
Okay.
with them yesterday, and the ETA on them is May 11th.
Okay, yeah, and so since I know that you would feel safer with some shields in place, I definitely wanna wait till we get some shields. Dave did make a couple, but I think they're more for your office, right, besides?
Because we have the big,
Yes, yeah, they're nice big ones, so that'll be good. And I mean, technically, this is your decision with your department heads, the auditor.
And we need to get together and talk. I mean,
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
can remember
yes, my recommendation is, sorry, Steve.
the county attorney, I can remember a month and a half ago stating that it is up to you as elected department heads to make a decision, but to come up with an agreeable one through yourselves and follow it.
I know you talked about possibly the ones that you're doing your switch off at home, maybe getting them back to work, you
Yep.
talked about, and
And I would say maybe we look at going back to like we first started,
with
have
appointments.
appointments only to start with.
Sure, and that makes
Not
sense to me.
just open up.
Yeah, a gradual, you know, and
And
I think
we need
everybody's.
to all meet and discuss about that.
Yeah,
when
correct.
we open.
Yes.
I'm not saying this week, I mean, I'm not gonna get my shields till May 11th, and we need to talk about, are we all wearing masks? Are we all having shields on our desks? I mean, in our office, if somebody's mad at you and they're not wearing a mask, you're getting sprayed. And the more upset they get, the more projectile, like singing or whatever,
Oh, yes.
aerosols, there's
Yeah, I definitely want those shields.
particles and stuff, so I mean, we need to think about that, and, there's a
So
lot of
would
things
you
to
like
think
to
about.
wait to have the meeting till we actually have the shields and can see how they're working?
No, I think
or
we
do you
can
want
talk
before
ahead of
that?
time about what we're
Okay.
gonna do, you know, are we gonna, my thought is, you know, we have, what other counties are doing is make appointments, get their phone number. When the person's time to come up, you call them, they come in the courthouse, they have a spot. I talked to Dave about putting tape on the floor that, okay, you have a motor vehicle appointment, you follow the yellow tape, and have them come in
Sure.
this door. And
Little
you go to
details like that
spot.
that not everybody's thought of.
Because your office is the one that has, you and
We
Pat
have a lot of
the
traffic.
Majority of the traffic.
Yes, and like telling them that they can come in and they've gotta stand here. We've gotta measure out how far the 6 foot is, where the spots are, how we're gonna get them out. Our driver's license counter, if we open that, it'll be for Mitchell County residents only, because half of the DOT offices aren't even open, and they're doing 12 appointments a day. So if people find out that our office is open, they're gonna come from Kingdom Come.
Pat or Amy, did you guys want to make a comment on this today? Or should we just see about getting a meeting going here?
I think it'd definitely be good to do a meeting. You know, and our situation's different where we do not have a counter. And
Right.
it's not very feasible to have like a plexiglass shield on our desk.
It may be a case of just backing them
Yeah.
as far as you
And,
can.
yeah, I just talked to Dawn briefly this morning, and she would like either the customer to wear a mask or her to have a mask, for sure.
And we could
She's
certainly,
a little-
when we're making our appointments, say you need to come in with a mask.
And that's what makes the city, transit is saying they have to wear a mask on the transit. So then do we supply masks to these people that don't come in with a mask? Do we have to give them a mask if we're requiring a mask? And that's gonna be cost.
I don't think
No,
that,
I think we
they
asked-
We have
have
to have
to,
the employees and we have to have them.
I
I think
we-
they have to have their own mask,
I think we asked them to leave if they don't have a mask.
yeah.
Right, and then if they get upset and they're
If they-
yelling, we have to push the panic button, so the sheriff's office gotta know that that they might be getting called over here repeatedly, because
If-
I'm not gonna get in somebody's face, and have somebody get in my face, yelling at me or my staff, because we're telling them to leave, and they, have a right to be here
Well,
and do their
but we
business.
have the big sign in the front door, I mean,
But who's gonna
You
enforce
can
it?
have all the signs you want, people don't read them.
If they have to
But we'll,
make an
we'll try as hard
appointment,
as we can to get the word out.
it is stressed that they have a mask, whether they make their appointment through the internet or by phone.
When we talk about it, my plan would be, we ask the questions
Correct.
before they get an appointment, and we'll verify that they live in Mitchell County, because if they don't live in Mitchell County, they shouldn't
They
be
don't
doing
need to be
business in
here.
our office.
Right.
Because you have a lot of people that think they can come wherever, and if they find out we're open, everybody's gonna show up.
I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
Yeah.
In motor vehicle, they can only do in our office, but driver's license, and people are gonna think
Do you
that
want
they
the
show up.
supervisors at this meeting?
At least one person, we can't have all of you, or it has to be a public meeting.
I can certainly come.
I think the point thing too to look at is that you guys are critical infrastructure too, whether in different aspect of things. So, the courthouse has to still be running, maintained, so you are critical infrastructure. You can't, keep in mind of all your employees, if one gets it and you're all gonna be there, you're gonna affect everyone.
That's
You
my
might wanna still
concern,
stay
the
split
health
shift, because
of everybody.
you're gonna expose, and no offense, well, you're here all the time, then you splitting your shifts in your office is worthless. Because if you get exposed on Friday to someone and you don't know it, then Monday you're contagious, and whoever you see is gonna get it, so,
True.
I mean, we need to,
And
maybe
it's
Jessa
important.
should be at the meeting
And if
to
one
give us
person
medical advice.
gets it, basically, we're shut down.
Yeah, because for 3 days,
And so you can't
Be
necessarily
contagious
shut
and
down
not
if you guys need to stay, that's the thing, so I think it's important to maybe look at the continuing of the shifts, because you guys are needed. You can't have everyone get sick at one
And for the
time.
most part, we've been through all this, we've been conducting business, not everything, but a lot of.
I came in this morning and had 5 messages on my phone. I've called them back, and in 45 minutes, we've got 9 phone calls, and 2 of those I've emailed out application for titles and explained to them where the drop box is, so it's not great.
But it's doable.
Is there
It's
consensus in the community of why we want to open, is there?
I've gotten a thank you, I've actually had one of our.
I
drivers-
haven't
I've
had
gotten a
any
thank you.
complaints.
Have you
I
guys had any
haven't had
complaints
any
about the courthouse not being open?
I'm sorry, with so
Ha-
many people
have-
talking, I can't,
Have you had any complaints about not being open?
yes.
Oh,
Who
Like-
they
like-
from?
I've never had any.
Yeah, I haven't had a complaint.
We might have somebody upset at first, but then when you say, you could do this, we'll bend over back, they're like, oh, you have a drop box, oh, we can pick it up at the south door,
Right.
we wanna get the license plate,
And a lot of them, they've gotten used to this way of life now.
I guess
At
if there are
first they were
complaints, they
upset.
need to contact us, we need to know who these people are.
Yeah, so you can address it.
Yep.
Have you had like a extreme amount of complaints?
No, not a lot, but
I think the system is.
again,
They're able to operate, they're able to keep their staff, I look at it as a healthcare aspect too, Stan. They're in the hospital and I have to make a decision to put a ventilator on you or put a ventilator on another Mitchell County person because we ran out of ventilators. What choice do I make? Whose choice? We have that hard aspect to look at that too. So if we can keep people safe, practice the social distancing, keep, the alternate shifts, those types of things, that would be strongly recommended. Yes, the governor did open businesses, but a business uptown is nothing like what the traffic that comes into the courthouse either.
And she opened we closed in a certain manner, and just because the last people closed are getting reopened, doesn't mean we were one of the first people to close down, so, because they've decided to close down the restaurants and now they're opening for this, does that mean that all the people back here that were closed to begin with open back up right away?
And they're not. I contacted all the businesses, gyms, everything. They are not opening May 1st. A lot of them are, we're gonna give this some time. Like, we don't feel safe for our staff or the public to come in and still eat at our restaurant. And that's the main thing too, is you want people to feel safe and comfortable coming in and doing things. So it's important to come up with a plan and make sure it's, appropriate, so then we don't have it on the news that Mitchell County opened their courthouse and there was an outbreak from individuals going into the courthouse.
Well, you're gonna have this possibility in the next 18 months probably.
Absolutely.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be here at the courthouse. I mean, you might run somebody at the grocery store because, same thing, that you were just meeting them down the aisle and whatever.
I agree, we're gonna have to open at some point, I just don't think we need to rush.
Yeah,
I
we're
wanna-
we're
I
not
wanna have
quite
some
ready.
good plans
Let's
and
get
everybody
these
on the same-
shields and,
Take
yeah.
take it slow steps.
Amy, did you have anything to add?
No, honestly.
Okay.
I guess truthfully, this could be something forever for the future.
Well, and I think the important thing, Stan talks about the
And
grocery
tell us there's
stores
a
and stuff.
vaccine.
They're critical infrastructure too. People need groceries. They have the options to deliver. We're delivering groceries to individuals out in the community. There's lots of options out there. They're able to operate, but people do need to go in and shop. You guys are still keeping your business open and just adjusting the ways that you're doing it. which is
Yeah,
Well,
important.
we're
again,
still-
though, if we're gonna
still
have a
doing
meeting-
business.
There's no reason we can't post it and all the supervisors be at the meeting. I mean, Lowell's gonna be there anyway, so I mean, why not post it and,
Lowell's not on the board.
He's a department head.
He's an
I know.
elected official.
But I mean, if Barb's there and Lowell's there, it's not a public.
Yeah.
but I mean.
That's fine, I don't
Why can't
think
we
it's there.
post it and all three of us be there?
Yep, and then we'll have to have a video,
If you want to, that's fine.
that's fine.
I'll maybe send you, Lowell, the dates that I'm not available, the times I'm not available this week just because of meetings. Otherwise, I can work anything else out.
And I'm here Thursday, but I could, as long as I don't go in and talk to the girls, I can come down here. Is that fine?
Thursday? Okay. Seems like I have something
And
Thursday.
that's like, but I said, I can come in the side door, just come down.
But mine wouldn't be all day, so Thursday is maybe a possibility, actually.
So you need 24 hours for this.
Thursday is. I just have a like noon to 2 meeting. So I could any other time on Thursday. Are you
Thursday
guys
works.
available Thursday? Maybe we'll try to set something up for that.
Probably work best for me and later in the afternoon,
Okay.
we're still hauling a little fertilizer and normally they get that out of the way in the morning, so.
Okay, so maybe anytime after 2, it's up to you guys.
Thursday.
Okay, just let us know.
I need to, about 4 o'clock is when we start shutting down everything, so.
Do you want
I
it?
need to reconcile at 4 o'clock, my account.
Oh, so it, well, maybe we can do it.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Shouldn't
I
take
mean,
long.
yeah, that's right.
Try for 2. Okay.
2 o'clock Thursday.
And do we need to have other departments? Does,
Probably everyone.
Yeah,
All
probably
department
should
heads?
all the department heads, yeah.
Invite them all and if they don't wanna come, they don't have to come.
And they
You
can
can do it.
join. They can join via GoToMeeting too, if they want. And so I need to make this public, correct?
yes,
Okay.
And Dave should be here.
yeah, Dave, cause that's when I talked about the tape on the floor, I called Dave, cause I don't wanna, and we also gotta think about, the restroom. And there's a lot of things to think about, but like if I put stuff on the floor, I wanna make sure I'm not making Dave's life,
The sheriff here.
right? You do department heads.
And I do have some guidance sheets that they did give us with the reopening guidance that I did print out to give to each of you guys, the department heads, so you guys can actually review it and have some information of what you should do and just stuff to look at before the meeting, so you're come prepared.
Restrooms is what I thought,
Yeah,
like, how do we handle that?
I don't know,
Do you have suggestions?
Lock them and don't let them in.
don't, I mean, or
No, I
maybe-
mean, even just us all using the same
Well,
restroom.
you can't wash your hands and sanitize
You know.
when you leave the restroom, so.
Yeah. Like,
Every
Just
time I walk,
sanitize.
every time I walk in my
I hope-
office, I
I
sanitize.
hope that's being done.
Of course, I'm talking about the stool
I tell
itself.
And I think another thing is,
When you get home, you take a shower.
Just those individuals that are doing business come in, not them bringing their brother and their mother and their 6 kids.
Right,
Just that individual that
recommending
needs to do
it's
those
just them,
business.
not to bring the family along, please.
Because we gotta hope that, you gotta pay attention to what people touch.
Oh, yeah.
Because when they leave the counter space, Chris gave me sanitizer spritz bottle, so you'll have to wipe down where the people have been.
Yeah, I
And
think
just
you
get-
should just have that handy all the time. Like I have one on my desk, the sprayer and some towels.
I think I'm just giving education to your staff too, appropriate of not to touch your face mask, those types of things as well, because
As I'm touching my face.
it's not gonna, not gonna help anything if you're touching your stuff and then going and touching whatever. So I think the education is huge, and it's important for everyone to be on board and understanding of that as well too, knowledgeable.
Okay, well, sounds like we'll have a meeting, we can discuss all this further then, at 2 Thursday. Okay, where are we at? Meetings. I will go ahead and give mine.
Everything's the same right
I have
now.
several, sorry guys. I had a meeting with Jennifer Andre of Avance, that business that we used to help, that we used to help bring Puerto Rican families to our workforce. And Mitchell County were actually the biggest winners technically of this, with 10 people going to grain millers and 5 to LR Falks. And in total, that would have been, with family members, would be 39 people, as you mentioned earlier, Stan. And they all felt they were acclimating well, making friends, feeling welcome, so that was good to hear. And it actually resulted in, I thought this was cool, in 3 of the spouses actually joining our workforce too, in other businesses. And let's see, there's some businesses in Riceville considering using Avance. And I know our hospital's been visiting with her too, something with, I think, their lab department. And 2 or 3 of them are looking at buying homes. Okay, Mitchell County Board of Health meeting. Okay, let's see. I had so much that I didn't have time to copy this over. Okay, our census is down to 77, so it did drop some more. Most of our money is spent for salary and personal protective equipment right now. State funds and Medicare, they are, that's what that money is going towards, the salary and the protective, personal protective equipment. And then Medicaid is actually paying for telehealth right now. Let's see. They get a tobacco grant. Chickasaws actually worked on it the last 4 years and asked us to take it back over. So we will be. And I gave them the pros and cons of what we were doing as far as staff and whether we were going. They asked if literally if we were going to lay off, and I said no, we're trying all our power not to do that. And I gave. Then we had a COVID-19 update, and let's see, they're down to 1 hour for testing, and they have had 41 tested, and they're down to 10 to 11 weekdays for testing at the CRC Event Center. Let's see. They can bill Medicare for immunizations, and they didn't get paid before, but it sounds like they're starting to. The provider that we were having some problems with is now actually giving us some referrals. That was good news. We're lucky in some areas, apparently they're having trouble getting medications, and we're not having that trouble here so far. There is some concern that the Amish are having sometimes up to 150 people in their homes for church. And so public health is trying to educate them on this. And one of the board members who is a nurse, Sandy Offenson, and she's gonna try talking with them also. And at the moment, Faith Home is only accepting new people in their nursing homes. They have to actually go to an isolation area first. Now, this is just for people that test negative. The problem is for this separate isolation area, they don't have enough staff of that. So that's why most of the nursing homes are not taking in new people right now, just for that reason. Okay, Mitchell County Economic Development, we formed a committee that is gonna come up with some suggestions for demolition of dilapidated houses in the county. We delayed action, as Tony said, on applications for the housing loan program just for the moment. Human Resource Committee will meet to discuss the director's annual evaluation and Tracy's 60-day review, of which I'll be part of that. Jensen said he would let us know when he has an update on the SBA PPP program. I don't even know what all that stands for. I updated them on what the courthouse is doing just to make things safer for when we do open up back down the road. Then I had a county social service 2 meetings. One was with Children's Health, and that was more or less getting team members. They wanted people to serve and volunteer on this, but from several different factions, and I'll just name a few because there was a lot. Like they needed a pediatrician, a child care provider, parent of somebody who actively is involved with child services, somebody from the juvenile, a registered governing board member, early childhood advocate, childhood behaviors services, somebody from law enforcement, and then I was really pleased. They had somebody volunteering for all these different groups, and education actually had several volunteers. And then our actual county service advisory board meeting. Let's see. We're trying to do, of course, more by teleconferencing with people. We're trying to convert other areas to get the traffic away from the hospitals because they're so busy. Children's behavioral health services will be available July 1st. Now, we've actually done stuff with Kids Forever, but now at least it's more formalized and we might actually get reimbursed more. They do have to be 100% to be reimbursed if they're 100%, 150% of the poverty guideline. If they're at that, they have to at least be at that. And then they said that it has to be a serious situation in order to be covered. Well, we consider every child with a mental problem a serious condition. And let's see, our annual service and budget plan is projected to end the fiscal year. We were at something like 35.18 per capita. We're going to go down to 30 cents per capita, and we work with like a 28 million budget. 2 million has been set aside for capital investments for Floyd and Butler County. Let's see. The CSS Access Center services, consideration was only at this time for a subacute center in the, I believe, West Quadrant. Youth Access Center, they asked for $150,000, that was approved. And we also okayed $7,000 for a Prairie View Road Community Project. The mobile response, they're trying to get to people within 15 minutes, and some are even striving 3 to 5 minutes. And that sounds kind of difficult, but they're striving for it. Critical intervention training, they're trying to get, to figure out a way to get help to get law enforcement, just so that we're all on the same wavelength for that. And I think I will call that the end to this. Okay, so I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings. Okay. I'm
I
done.
hate to say this, but all my meetings have been canceled. I even had one last night, May 22nd, canceled until further notice. So I have nothing.
Same here.
I hate
Gave you a
to-
few of
I hate
mine.
to be like that when, after you've had 6 meetings, Barb.
Oh, well, that's the way it goes. Okay, so, let's see. I lost my, what's next on the agenda?
Transfer of funds.
Okay,
So
you wanna
noted.
talk about that a little? That was, we've got the
So
sheet on
noted.
that. Okay. You wanna second that?
So noted.
Okay, and with no further discussion, which I'm sure there wouldn't be, all in favor?
There's no vote on this.
Oh, we don't need that, okay, all right, thank you. All right, and,
I'll give you an update on primary election coming up June 2nd.
please,
May 4th is the first day when people can vote in person. Obviously, that's at this point not going to happen. Secretary of State is, if you haven't received it yet, you should be any day now, getting absentee request forms in the mail to send back to my office.
so they're gonna send to us, we don't necessarily have to
Correct.
call you, they're gonna send.
We did have some previously, so Friday we sent out what we had. For the election, we are, because of all this, and basically all the counties have really cut back on their precincts. We're gonna just have one in Mitchell County, several counties are doing the same thing. We're gonna have the election will be here at the courthouse. We're gonna do it at our counter, so we'll have protection. The people doing the election officials will be inside the office, other people will be out there, and that will be
Use
using.
your shields then?
Yep, Secretary of State has sent out things. I've ordered like masks and hand sanitizer and disinfectants. I'll be picking those up here probably in a week or so when they come, and it's at no charge.
Excellent, nice.
Not even a charge to the state, so they've have those, so they're going to send them to Forest City and Decorah.
And so will there
and
be
Arden.
masks for all the people
Well,
We'll see.
for all the, yeah.
that are
And we're
voters, I
also,
mean?
also ordered pens, so people can just use that pen and keep that. They won't be reusing a pen to mark the ballot.
Good,
And it'll be upstairs, so we won't be using this room that day. So it'll be limited access.
I know Home Trust did that too, when I had to go in for something, they just give you the pen, it's yours now, we don't want it back.
So just to let you know, and if people are asking, that's, the polling place will be at the courthouse. It'll be
Lowell,
just one
I
for the
actually
county.
heard a concern on absentee ballots, but we've always done that and never had a problem, right? I don't know what their concern
Because of the
is.
paper ballot.
Yeah, I don't understand what their concern is.
Well, if they have a concern, they don't have to vote.
Yeah, I just,
Well,
I don't
If
get
if
that.
that's the way it's always been, and that's the way it
Yeah, I
it
don't
is.
understand that at
understand.
all.
We have our
Yeah.
ballots, and we're sending them out, and
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
I don't know, does anybody have any questions or
Nope.
concerns, or?
I do not.
Well, I guess the only thing I would wanna know, like, let's say we open up the courthouse the 15th of May. Could they still call for an appointment just to come in and vote here? You know,
Oh, yeah, that's still, there's still details to work out, so obviously, they'll probably be coming in that day. Well,
I mean, you know,
that probably won't be under the appointment to call. But you mean if they vote
But
early?
you have
Yeah,
a
they
meeting.
wanna
Oh,
vote
vote
early.
early, yeah, I
Sure.
think they should, at this point still, would call, say, hey, I need to come in and vote, and we will honor that request.
And just
yeah,
make
cause
sure
I'm
that
gonna
they
be in
stay
Osage,
6
I'm gonna
feet
be in
apart.
Osage, the 16th, I'd like to vote as long as I'm in
Rather than do
Osage.
it rather than the day of the vote, yep,
Sure.
I get you. Yep,
So we're just gonna have the one polling place for the whole county.
Correct, yeah. Hopefully a lot of people will vote.
Absolutely.
Traditionally, at a primary election, a lot of people don't vote, but there are some races. Maybe if people get these requests, they'll
I would
ask to have
highly,
one sent to them.
I would highly encourage absentee ballots. Okay,
That's pretty much what I had about that.
all right.
Okay,
Okay, manure management plan updates.
Okay,
Thank you.
got 4 of them. They're all from Friesen Farms. First one is East, 2699 390th Street, Osage. Liberty 34 is 2552 410th Street, Osage. Friesen North, 2059 420th Street, Osage. And Northeast, 2281 410th Street, Osage.
You have to have quite the storage just for all those.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, public comments. We'll wait a minute here to see if we have anybody to call in with a question or.
Hey, this is Rich. Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
I had a drainage district call here last week, and it had to do with the drainage district out east of town on 9 and 218 there. We did that drainage ditch clean out here a year ago.
Yep.
With the people on the east side of 218 and 218 there. Landowner on the other side is now requesting that. I forwarded Lowell the email that I had sent him. He's getting the information now, but he wants his waterway cleaned out as well. So I'm working with him on a procedure there, and Lowell, he might be contacting you too. I want to give you guys a heads up on that. And then second,
Drain 3.
what's that?
Drain number 3.
Yep. And so that we're working on. And then second, I've got, since things might be, since we're kind of cautiously advancing, we haven't put an ad out for the assistant engineer position yet, but I've got a job description ready to go. Do you guys want to see the job description before I send out advertisement for employment, or are you guys okay with what I would come up with?
why don't you email that to us, and
Okay.
so if in the next day or two, if any of us have a concern, we can get back to you.
Yeah, it's a pretty general, wide open scope that encompasses about 3 different, we only have one person that does it, there's categories for assistant engineer, there's assistant to engineer, and then there's technicians. And assistant engineers are usually EIs or possibly PEs, which we probably wouldn't need. But second, there's technicians and assistants twos, which is what Jim's kind of categorized in. But this job description I've come up with kind of encompasses all 3, just on the chance that we
Rich, is Austin Walk working right now?
get, somebody qualified. Not all the qualifications are probably going to be met that we have in here, but at least we've got something to target. So
I don't think.
I'd just let you know quick before you got into the public comment stuff.
Okay. Rich, is Austin Walk, is he working right now?
Rich, is Austin Walk
Yeah.
working right now?
I've tried to contact him twice about this weed notice, and he hasn't responded. I just want to make sure that's being taken care of. I figured as he's the weed commissioner,
Yeah,
he needs to make those updates to that ad. I mean, I can send it out for him, but it's getting that time of year.
Yep, I called him and he was going to contact you. I'll
Okay,
get hold of him again.
all right, thank you.
Yep. That's all I have. I'll forward you guys the job description so you can look at it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Rich.
That'd be good. Okay, any other public comments? Now, did I remember to say Ginger Merrick made these?
Yes, you did.
I wanted to give her credit. Doesn't look like any, Casey. Okay. All right, then, if we have no more comments, we'll call this a meeting adjourned.